I'm Courtney Kennedy, and this is fishmonger and chef Matt Brown from Sopo Seafood. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We're making chowder.
Yes,
Wait.
Chowder.
Chowder. Now, what's the difference between New England chowder versus New York-based chowder?
A lack of tomato.
Lack of tomato. So the New York style is tomato-based, and the New England is cream-based or milk-based?
Sure.
Awesome. I love it. So Matt, let's get this started. So what do you start with for a chowder here?
Okay. Well, we're gonna use a little bit of butter.
Yeah. We have a pan over here, a pot. So Matt's adding a few tablespoons of butter to the pot. Do you need some help here, friend?
Thank you.
Welcome. A couple tablespoons of butter to the pot. This is 2 onions chopped. He's gonna add that as well, along with a little bit of olive oil to get those onions going and get them translucent. That's gonna take a couple minutes, right, Matt?
Yeah.
So while that's doing that, what else are you adding there?
A little Italian seasoning.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. So he's gonna add a little Italian seasoning. What other seasonings could you put in there, do you think?
Well, you could really do anything that you like. I think thyme is pretty classic of chowder, but if you like paprika, garlic.
Whatever you like.
Yeah, you can take it really in any direction you want.
Do you want to add garlic to this chowder?
Absolutely.
Awesome. See? You can just add whatever you want to it. Great. So now you're prepping the fish, right, Matt?
Yeah. Yep. We've got a lovely piece of hake here, and what I would probably do for a chowder like this is a nice big fish, and it's going to flake apart in the hot broth, so I'm not going to cut it up too small. So maybe just cut it into some, few inch pieces here.
Matt, would you like your knife?
Yep.
There we go. A better knife is a bigger chef's knife for Matt to do this. You can see that knife works a lot better than the smaller knife.
So I would just cut it into some larger strips like this. You don't have to cut it up too small. Like I said, it's going to fall apart a little bit. So if you cut it up too small, it's going to end up shredded into nothing. So if you get it into bigger pieces.
Really? I thought maybe you had to really cut it down to a smaller size.
No. Little pieces like this, and then it's going to, as it cooks, it's going to flake apart.
Great.
Yeah.
How are those onions over there?
They are lovely.
Awesome. So
They smell wonderful.
I wish you could be here right now smelling the onions, the garlic powder, the Italian seasoning. It smells really good in here,
I love the
doesn't
smell
it?
of cooking onions.
What are you adding next to the pot once those onions are translucent?
So we're going to put the fish stock in there,
Okay.
and
So we're using just a box fish stock, but somebody can make a fish stock at home, right?
Sure.
Well, how might they make a fish stock at home?
yeah, if you have a whole fish or you get fish bones, you can just simply cook that in water for about 45 minutes with some other aromatics, and then strain it out and you have fish broth. The other thing you can do is save any broths from cooking mussels, or if you're cooking steamers. Any shellfish gives off a lot of broth, so you can save that in the freezer, and then you can put that in your fish soup, and
Nice.
that'd be delicious.
Great. But today we just have store-bought seafood stock that Matt's going to add to the pan.
Yeah.
So he's gonna add, that's 4 cups of stock, and what's next is we have these beautiful Yukon gold potatoes.
They're Queen Anne potatoes from Green Thumb Farms. Right here.
Awesome, that's great. So we can also, and I think Green Thumb Farm is a Maynard's Feeding Maynard's
Absolutely.
farm as well. With the potatoes, we wanna make sure that they're cooked through right. So they're gonna go into the water, and they're also gonna act as a thickener, right?
Absolutely.
For our chowder.
Yeah, we'll get some starch from the potato. You can thicken it with roux if you like, but I like my fish chowder not super thick, so you just get a little bit of starch from the potato, and then the fish. And if you don't use too much milk, you can make it kind of thick, and it'll be creamy. And
Can you talk to me about what a roux is?
roux is equal parts of fat and flour. So you saute a little bit of butter, melt it down, and then cook that same amount of flour in there. So if you're doing 2 tablespoons of butter, you'd use 2 tablespoons of flour. You just whisk it together and cook it a little bit, and then you add liquid to it and bring it to a simmer, and it'll thicken whatever.
Okay, so it's a thickener. So yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, let's let the potatoes cook and the onions, and we'll come back to that here in a few minutes when those are nice and tender. We're here finishing up our chowder, so remember this is onions, it is potatoes, it is some fish stock that we've added in there with a little bit of Italian seasoning. So Matt, now how are we making this that cream-based soup, making it a chowder?
So today we're going to use a little bit of evaporated milk and a little bit of skim milk.
So you could use that or anything else.
Wherever you have in the
Yeah.
fish.
Yeah. So as you can see here, it's that broth that's cooked with the potatoes and the onions. It definitely smells amazing.
Yeah.
For sure. So go ahead and add what you're gonna add next. Then when do you add the seafood?
So you want to add the fish towards the very end because you just want to just cook it. You don't want to cook it for too long of a time and have it overcook it because it'll fall all apart. And you want to have a little bit of texture in your fish chowder. You want to have some chunks of fish. So you don't want to cook it for too long.
So this is looking nice and creamy, and so is that gonna go back on before you add the fish, or do you wanna add the fish
You
now?
can add the fish now.
Go for it.
So we've cooked the potatoes all the way, right?
Yep, they're cooked all the way through till tender.
We're just adding the fish and the dairy. And then this is only gonna cook for 5, 6, 10 minutes, just enough to cook this fish though.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Can't wait to try this. This is gonna be really good. So Matt's just adding the fish. He's gonna give it a stir and put it back onto the heat, right? Until that gets
Yeah.
cooked through. And we can't wait to see what it looks like here when it's complete.